Episode 493. The three of them stood together on the shore, watching the waters churn and roil. But with the action all happening underwater, the specifics were impossible to see. Every so often, a head would bob to the surface, and from what the trio could tell, if a head was bobbing up, that player was already done for. So far, 3 have surfaced, and all of them turned to white light.
What kind of boss is this? It feels really weird.
Steamed Bun Invasion was deep in thought. Tang Ru was speechless. So this guy still hadn't caught on to what she meant, and genuinely thought there was some wild boss lurking in the water. Concealed Light was perfectly happy to watch Steamed Bun Invasion make a fool of himself, and didn't say a word to correct him.
Look out!
A massive wave erupted from the water's surface, and a figure tumbled out from within the spray. Steamed Bun Invasion let out a shout. His movements were lightning fast, placing himself directly in front of the other 2 and leaping forward. Facing the unknown danger, Steamed Bun Invasion stepped forward without a moment's hesitation. In that instant, Tang Ru saw clearly that the figure that had darted out was not one of their own. By the time she could react, Steamed Bun Invasion had already lunged forward, a pure, instinctive move. Tang Ru figured Steamed Bun Invasion hadn't even seen what it was. If he jumped out at Yi Shu's Lord Grimm, it would have been a real joke. Bunny leaped into the air, his control as precise as ever. He lashed out with a kick, executing the striker skill Eagle Stomp. With 2 stomps, Steamed Bun Invasion rebounded and landed back on the shore. That brother was promptly kicked back into the water by Steamed Bun Invasion. Amidst the splash, the 3 of them faintly heard a single phrase, "Your sister."
You bastard!
Those poor guys in the water were having a rough time. They were no match at all in the water, and the golden duo of Ye Chu and Su Mu Chung had incredibly powerful crowd control. While they couldn't control dozens, handling just a few of them was effortless. They had long since lost the will to fight, thinking only of how to escape. After all that effort, and the loss of 3 comrades, he finally seized this one chance to break free and reach the shore. But just as he broke the surface, before his feet could even touch the ground, the kid on the shore kicked him right back in.
Nice one.
Amidst the spray, Yi Shu's Lord Grimm surfaced for a moment, praising Steamed Bun Invasion. The sound of his voice was carried by the churning waves, but the man himself remained unseen.
I think I heard the boss's voice.
Is Baozi still standing there like a fool?
Yeah, they're in the water.
Is the boss fighting a monster?
Tang Ru thought for a moment, but said nothing. She was afraid she couldn't explain it clearly to Steamed Bun, that she was just speaking metaphorically.
I'll go check.
Steamed Bun dove into the water, only to come right back out a moment later. He said to Tang Ru and Concealed Light,
The boss is dead. The boss is fighting the guys who tried to steal it. The water feels weird, just like the boss said. We can't really help with that, so let's just hold the line here. Anyone else who dares to come up, I'll just kick them right back down.
As he spoke, Baozi leapt into the air, demonstrating with an eagle stomp and wasting a cooldown.
I'll go take a look too.
Tang Ru said, and jumped into the water as well, wanting to try out the aquatic combat Yi Shu had described to them earlier, a style that was vastly different from fighting on land. But before she could even get properly submerged, the water's surface parted, and the avatars of Lord Grimm and Windward Formation broke through to the surface.
Already?
Tang Ru's soft mist asked, half her body submerged in the water.
That's it, huh? Not nearly enough.
Nothing we can do.
Tang Ru was a bit helpless.
That's all I could catch up with.
Chase?
Yi Shu was fully concentrated on the aquatic combat. He wasn't entirely clear on the situation ashore, but he had a rough idea of the numbers. Their opponents were a dozen guild elites, yet facing Tang Ru and Steamed Bun and Concealed Light, who was basically negligible once the real fighting started, they actually ran away.
They knew better than to stick around.
Baozi laughed heartily as Ye Shu and Su Mu Chang's characters emerged from the lake one after the other, with Qin Cheng following close behind. Once ashore, they looked around and could still make out the figures of characters from the various guilds who hadn't fully withdrawn. Aside from their group, there wouldn't be anyone else around Thousand Wave Lake. Steamed Bun Invasion and Concealed Light are both pretty low level. If they accidentally aggro a monster, it'd be a real headache. Concealed Light had been nervous the whole way here.
Hey, where's that Monday morning quarterback?
Baozi said, glancing in Shaolin's direction.
Oh, I told him to pull out first.
The grove was now occupied by people from the major guilds. After escaping the lake, they hadn't gone far. They slipped into these hiding spots and went to ground. They were a good distance from the lake now, and they wanted to keep watching to see what the happy players intended to do. If there's any real danger, we can still make a run for it. At the same time, they were also thinking about that guy in the grove who'd fired the black cannon. The Misty Rain Guild players had already confessed, saying this person was most likely Ma Hu Pao, who had left their guild. So they charged into the woods, and everyone started pointing and searching for that name. But of course, there was no sign of Monday morning quarterback anywhere. Then, another fierce battle erupted by the lake. People were thrown into the water or scattered in retreat, followed by a frantic, non-stop pinging in the team channel. Not a single player who fell into the water made it out alive. The guild leaders, however, all survived, yet their mood was worse than if they'd died. The operation at Thousand Wave Lake had now come to an end. In essence, they had achieved nothing. 29 of their own had died in the water, nearly half their force. The remaining half of their force was now crouched in the woods and thickets by the lake's edge that offered some cover. On their screens, their faces were mostly twisted into expressions of pure constipation. They could only watch their screens, watching Lord Grim, Windward Formation, and their target for this operation, Thousand City, emerge from the water completely unscathed. The 6 of them stood by the lake, chatting away like old friends. Meanwhile, the guys who had managed to dodge Baozi and his 2 friends earlier came stumbling over to join them, looking just as disheveled.
How despicable.
The newcomer then gave everyone a detailed account of what had just happened.
Yi Chu and Su Mucheng were hiding in the water, and they had these guys on the shore push us in.
There are so many of you, and only 3 of them. You think you can just push them in if you feel like it?
Hesitating,
Those who had escaped back were all somewhat bewildered. Right, what in the world is going on? It seems I can't remember anymore.